everybody. Welcome to the stream. I'm just finishing getting set up here. Let me see. Oh, look how weird my camera is. Let me point this up a little. How's that? Is that better? Can you see me better or worse? Let me come this way just a little bit. That looks pretty good. I have my audio in my ears. Let's play some Zelda. Got my sippy cup. My audio is very delayed. Give me 1 second. I don't know if that necessarily helped, but whatever. I really hate it. Hold on. Let me try one thing real quick. Sorry. Hopefully this works. Here we go, it's coming back. Can you hear it? That's a little better. I don't know if it's going to be great, but... Big Luigi's Mansion vibes on this one, guys. It's so hot. Look, there's my little friend. Phew! Free at last! Free at last! Gracious, you're a nice fellow who helped me out the other day. How nice to see you again. Well, now that we found each other again, let's stick together for a bit. Okay. Okay, I don't care. there. Jeez. So I did this. Come on. I did this kind of easily earlier. Except, ooh, look, I'm like gold. I don't know how to break that thing in the middle. That's my only deal. I'm trying to think how to do this earlier. Or the other day. Do you remember? It is sweltering in my room right now, guys. It is so hot. I might open a window. See, I don't know how to break that thing. That's my only deal. Ooh, and I don't have any bombs either, which does not help. Maybe I should go to Kakariko Town. What do you think? I put on a t-shirt. I'm just gonna go without the headphones for a little while because I'm roasting. You think I need that fire stuff? Where was that? Maybe I'm thinking of Ocarina of Time. I need something to... My glasses are too wide. I want to put my headphones on for this part. Ooh. It's a cannon of some sort. Where's this guy coming from? Where's my tail? A key. Bombs. It's not letting me use bombs. This is so stupid. Come on, Midna, where are you? I'm not sure that they'll do anything, but maybe it'll help. I'm glad the portal's up here. That way I can just slide right down. And hear that little chime. Do a triple deep. I kind of want to play Mario Kart after doing this. What do you guys think? Oh, I could have landed on the treetops. Oh, there's a secret way too. I should do that again. Oh. This place has a weird green hue to it. Do you notice that? What? What is it? That was weird. That's annoying.
Games rated E to M.
Just being able to like stop kind of a major attack and
There was another door. Oh, because I crawled under before. Nothing gets past me.
you know, throw a bomb at the last second and the time slows down a little bit.
Boy, do I hate these guys.
That's really, really satisfying. But not just that, but I think the creativity that they put into the rune attacks. Each of the characters has a unique rune attack for all four of them, so they're all very different. I think the first time that I saw Impa riding the Cryonis block, which you can do as her, I think Chico showed it to me, and I just immediately like I had to mute my mic and then just scream because I was like, "What? This is just crazy! Like, I can't believe that's something they put in here." So yeah, for me, that's just I think the creativity of the movesets is just it was pretty wild in the first Hyrule Warriors, but in this game, like I think people are just gonna be kind of blown away. I mean, each time I get a new character, I immediately just start experimenting with that stuff, and I just like. Awed by like kind of the creativity they put into each one.
Yeah, and on top of that, each character have character specific action too. So, yeah, I mean runes works differently for each character, and then each character have their own special, you know, like a character unique attack. And yeah, it just makes this game very, very unique, even within the Warrior franchise.
Yeah, I think people.
Yeah, I love how.
Go ahead, Chris.
Oh, I was just gonna say I love how in the middle of combat it has.
Am I in that room now? don't know where this pumpkin is. Yikes. So remember last time it was only like 2 things? Now it's 4, which is nice. Okay, what else we got? Let me get this other one real quick. Doo-doo-doo. I love that they do that every single time. Do you love that? Alright, what do we got? This. I have to go back and talk to this Mrs. Lady, I bet. I wonder if she wants some soup. Oh, you opened a new door for me. Thank you. Go on there. You suck, I wish I'll target. There we go. Okay. Alright, so I bet I need bombs. It's so hot in here. was awesome. That didn't do anything. This game sucks. Oh, there's one. Jeez, why am I yawning? Alright, well, if I could pick it up, I would. These guys aren't my favorite. It's like, do you remember that game way back when? It was called Jazzball. It was for I had an arcade computer. And all of these balls would just bounce around. You would have to try and draw a line and barricade. Oh, there's more. How to use a cannon. You would think this game would give us bombs, but you have to go and buy them. No free bombs. Cool, cool. That's fine, I guess. Ooh, a little gift. Money. Do you think? Bombs! That's what I always wanted. Okay, let's stick. Oh, got my lead. I don't know why I keep yawning. I'm not tired. Just can't breathe. Oh. How come I can't break this one? Yes, This is gonna be tricky, guys. Whoa, 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 whoa. At least I was up front with it. I called it. I knew it. Oh, great, there's that. I used to have arrows over there. There's a hook shot there. You can hear them. squeaking. It's so annoying. There's one. I hate it. I mean, can you please stand up? Oh good, I'm back at the beginning. Damn it, come on, bats! More bats! Jeez, oh man, can you believe it? And the thing is that they just keep regenerating, so I can't do anything. I'll target for the win. Bats. You remember fire bats not getting attacked? It was really rough. These ones aren't much better. Let's see if I can waste all my arrows. Alright, where the hell are they? Do you see them? If you see them, say yeah. This is stupid. If you can't tell how this might do me in. I might give up after this. Just play some Mario or something that's less ridiculous. Come on, please. Please don't. 20 rupees. Money, money, money. Just walk straight, like. Give me a cool item. Something good. Compass. I'll take a compass, but I'm not super happy about it. At least we have this. So there's another gift in here. I think to my left is, or my right is where I came in. I'll target. Where are you? Alright, so I think it's right behind here, but how do I break that? I don't know. Let's shoot this thing through some walls. What do you think? Do a little demolition. Who knows? We shot it that way. Shoot this one. Who knows? Alright, it's probably just gonna hit the wall, wanna bet? Maybe not, please. soup. It's good soup. Why is this thing red? It's kind of nice. That's fine, yeah. Let's just try and chuck it at it. What do you think? Okay, we need a better method, guys. Guys, please. I like the winter theme at least. Do you guys like that it's winter here? It kind of applies to the current season that we're in. Just died. Alright, so we have some gifts, sir. Unless we don't. Who knows? Oh, it's back there, that's why. But there is one over here. How the hell do I open it? Alright, I'll take a key, I guess. But I need to be a human. I'm a human, raised by humans. Oh. What movie is that from? Do you guys know? Think. It's a great one. I'll tell you that. That boy was thirsty. I wonder what vegetable is going to be next. We had a pumpkin before, maybe like some celery. Do you think that would be good in some soup? Let's ow. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Let's go through here. Now you see, here's all kinds of cannonballs here. Let's go up here just to see, okay? Great, just great. He just had a Altoid, and then drink some cold water. You think? Alright, so check this out. Yeah. There we go. Things are happening. Slowly but surely. Guys, how you doing on this Friday day? Afternoon. I'm doing like fine. I had a really hard workout today at the gym, and so my body's a little sore. Also, I got this really bitchin' shirt from the store. It was Old Navy. They had this really cool Simpsons shirt, and guess what? I knew it was a child size, but I got an extra large, hoping that it would fit. It didn't fit. So now I have to take it back to the store. Does that ever happen to you? Do you ever see like a really cool shirt or something on the internet machine, and you want to get it, but you can't because It's a shirt for children. I'm an idiot. It is a cool shirt, though. Does anybody know any kids that would want a Simpsons Christmas shirt? Give it to them for free. Or I'll just take it back and get a different shirt. Who knows? I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Ooh, this is a bad guy. Oh, this is another bad guy. Told ya. Good thing I had all that training to kill people. Oh, thanks for taking care of one of them for me. I wonder why there's hookshot things on the ceiling. Should I use one? Oh. Alright, I guess none of my shit's gonna work here. None of my technique. There we go, that one worked. It's all about finding the right one, guys. And not getting hit with the stupid, what is that called? What is that called thing? Alright, hit his butt. God almighty, guys. There we go.
In the middle of combat, it has that kind of creativity, like you said, that
You think I can use that? Hold on, I'm resetting my thing so I can have audio again. I was trying to set it up so I can listen to my podcast while I was doing this, but it didn't work. Hashtag shoot.
is what made Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild
You know,
feeling like I'm part of that. Games
I don't know why it wouldn't work.
Welcome to Nintendo Power Podcast. This episode, we share in-depth impressions of Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity and revisit The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. My name is Chris, and joining me today are two of my fellow co-workers at Nintendo of America, Chico from Nintendo Treehouse. Hi, Chico.
hi.
Hello, and Joe from the social media team. Hi, Joe.
Hey Chris, how's it going?
Great. So thanks for coming on the show, you guys, and we're going to start with a game that is coming out the same day that this episode is going to post on November 20th, which is Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Now, I've just started playing this game, but you're both experts, so I'm really looking forward to talking to you about it. But before we start digging into all the details, Chico, how would you describe this game to people who may have played a more traditional Legend of Zelda game, but might not have played a Hyrule Warriors game before?
The Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity is very different because it is a Warriors game instead of the traditional The Legend of Zelda series game. This one, you are fighting against, you're one against 1,000 or so, the horde of enemies coming at you, and then it's more action-oriented game. Rather than exploration and puzzle solving, you will see in traditional The Legend of Zelda type games.
That's right. Yeah, you're basically taking armies of classic villains from The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Joe, what's your experience been like with I guess just this game in general, but then also the Legend of Zelda series? Are you a big Legend of Zelda fan? And if so, what was your impression coming into Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity?
Yeah. So for me, The Legend of Zelda as a series is one of those kind of like mainstay prestige franchises for me. I've basically played every game in the series. It's very near and dear to my heart. So, for this game in particular, I think the first time that I got to see it and we really got excited for it. I was pretty blown away by a lot of the stuff that we saw. Just the close aesthetic to The Legends of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Having more time in that world, I think, is something that I really wanted to experience again, and especially with those characters. The story in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is all told through those memories. So in this game, you just really get to spend a lot of time with that cast of characters. And my experience with the first Hyrule Warriors, I actually really love that game. I think that game is a little bit more of a celebration of the franchise, whereas this is, it's a really kind of carefully told, crafted story set within The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So I think there's definitely a different approach there, and I think that's something I really appreciate about this game.
Yeah, I agree with Joe. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Warriors game. I did play the Hyrule Warriors, the original game, all 3 platform, I guess. And then, I am big fan of the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. But when I heard about this new one coming out, I was expecting more like the original Hyrule Warriors game, the celebration of the franchise, a lot of different, different characters coming from the different title from the series. But then when I first saw it, I literally screamed when I heard this, like a sound effect and music from the Breath of the Wild actually, like playing, and the character looked like that. And then I was really excited to see this game, and it was. When I first played Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, I was very surprised because it was way different from what I expected in a good way.
Yeah, I felt the same way, and that was the thing, you mentioned it there, Chico. When I first started playing Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, it was not just the visuals. Obviously, the art style was the same from Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which really took me back to that game. But also all the little sound cues, even the little fonts used in the menus when you pause it and look at the map. It really felt like I was back in that world again. And when I first started playing this game, it had been a while since I played Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So it felt kind of like this really nice homecoming. And I was more nostalgic than I realized for a game that I'd actually only played a few years ago for the first time. But at the same time, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity is, has obviously it's a whole different type of game than Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So it was this nice mix of the familiar and the new. And so far, I haven't beaten the game like you guys yet, but I'm really enjoying feeling like I'm part of that world again, getting more of that story. And when I first heard that it was, it took place 100 years before the events of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, that got me excited because I wanted more time with those characters and more time with that world, because I always thought the world had such a rich kind of history to it. I think you're right. It is a very different type of Hyrule Warriors game than the first Hyrule Warriors, in that it really does fit in specifically with Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, when I first heard this one, it's going to be a warrior style game, I wasn't sure if it's going to be a good fit. But then I thought about it, and then it is before the Great Calamity takes over and take down the whole Hyrule. So there's going to be thousands of monsters coming at you. So then I realized, okay, this is the perfect type of game. Should be like warrior style gameplay. And another thing I was surprised when I played this game is like in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, there are cutscenes where you could see what happened 100 years ago in the memory form in the Secret Slate. But there's only limited number of cutscenes to tell about the stories before the calamity happened. But in this game, you will have a lot of opportunity to go through a lot of different type of cutscenes to learn about the story, learn about the characters. It's just because of that, just for that reason, it motivates me to play more, and then unlock more story stages, so I will be able to see and learn the different character stories.
Yeah, there's a lot of story in this game. Like, it's really a surprising amount of cutscenes. And it's just really cool to see like a lot of those characters come back, and like characters like Urbosa, who had a little bit of development in Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, but in this game, there's just a lot of content with those characters. Like you get to see them interact with the other champions, which is really cool to see. You get to see that there's like a relationship between all of them, and especially with Zelda, who is kind of like, I would say, is like kind of the cornerstone of the story in this game, and her character itself is like kind of the main driving force between a lot of the characters and within the game. So I think people will really appreciate seeing that like kind of interplay between all the characters and how the story really develops.
Some of the things I was surprised is that in Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Zelda was more somebody who's being protected by Link, right? Like I mean, like in the memories you see in the Breath of the Wild cutscenes, she was always just like behind him, being protected, helpless in a way. But in this one, you will be able to see her fighting, against the monsters, not behind, hiding behind Link or Impa, but she's actually, fighting and then like using the runes and like different actions. It's just nice to see her being a fighter instead of just being protected.
Yeah, and I think like one of the things, the plot points that was developed a little bit in Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and I think you can see a little bit of it in the demo, is Zelda's like kind of personal struggle with her father needing to really unlock her powers, right? And that's something that's really developed in this game, and I think the plot is really compelling with her personal struggle, and you get to see like really what she's going through and how it's affecting her. So I think people are going to really I think it'll be really interesting to see how people respond to her story and get a little bit more of that development. So excited to see how people react to that.
Yep.
That was another moment when I first started playing this game where it immediately took me back to Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, was hearing Zelda speak and just hearing those voices again. And I never even realized, obviously Zelda, Link, certain characters appear in pretty much all of the games in the series, but these iterations of the characters from Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild hold a special place in my heart. So getting more time with them specifically has been a lot of fun so far. And I think, Chico, you touched on something about the runes. That's another thing I was really impressed with Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity is, when compared to the previous Hyrule Warriors game, this one changed up combat quite a bit to feel more like it belongs in the same universe as Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So whether it's a combo that sends Link kind of shield surfing into an oncoming line of enemies, or whether it's using runes, the same runes that you use in Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild to make big blocks of ice that can help protect you, that the enemies can smash into when they're actually charging at you or throwing those rune bombs. There's a lot there that really makes it feel like you're playing that other game.
Yeah, this game, even within the Warriors franchise, I think this game sets apart from that because let me go back to the basics of like Hyrule Warrior style games. Usually you just use X and Y button to do like a normal attack and strong attack, and you can do XXY, XY type combination attack using those two buttons. Then when the gauge fails, you can do special attack. But in addition to those like a usual warrior style gameplay, they added the 4 different runes. If you played the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, you're familiar with, like you said, Chris, Stasis, Magnesis, Cryonis, and Remote Bomb. They're all available assigned to one of the buttons. And also in addition to that, there's like rods. You can use fire rods, ice and lightning rods. And all of these buttons, you have to use it while you are fighting against these, hundreds of enemies coming at you. And when some of the powerful enemies actually start showing those symbols of one of the 4 runes, and to effectively fight against them, you have to try to activate the same rune they are showing the symbol for, and you have to do it quickly because that disappears quickly, and then if you couldn't do it, you can't
Gonna try a
attack
different
effectively.
direction.
So you're always on the toe, trying to make sure you do it in a good timing.
Oh, actually, I think I have to talk
And then again, in addition to that, we already revealed in the trailer before that Divine Beast is also something you can control, and those things, a lot of
Yeah.
different things make this game unique and new, even for those seasoned warrior game players.
Yeah, I think there are a couple things with the kind of the core gameplay of this one.
share this story.
There was the stagger gauge in Hyrule Warriors, which there was kind of that core loop of draining that gauge and then doing a special attack, and you get something similar here. I think the loop of it is a little bit more satisfying now that you have the runes. Just being able to like stop kind of a major attack and then throw a bomb at the last second and the time slows down a little bit. That's really, really satisfying. But not just that, but I think the creativity that they put into the rune attacks. Each of the characters has a unique rune attack for all 4 of them, so they're all very different. I think the first time that I saw Impa riding the Cryonis block, which you can do as her, I think Chico showed it to me, and I just immediately I had to mute my mic and then just scream because I was like, what? This is just crazy. Like, I can't believe that's something they put in here. So yeah, for me, that's just, I think the creativity of the movesets is just, it was pretty wild in the first Hyrule Warriors, but in this game, like, I think people are just going to be kind of blown away. I mean, each time I get a new character, I immediately just start experimenting with that stuff. And I just like, I'm awed by like kind of the creativity they put into each one.
Yeah, and on top of that, each character have character-specific actions too. So, yeah, I mean, runes works differently for each character, and then each character have their own special, like a character unique attack. And yeah, it just makes this game very, very unique, even within the Warrior franchise.
Yeah, I think people.
Yeah, I love how.
Go ahead, Chris.
Oh, I was just gonna say I love how in the middle of combat it has that kind of creativity, like you said, that is what made Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild so special, where you can start chaining together not just kind of quick and strong combos, but I can do like a couple of quick attacks and a strong attack to launch someone into the air as Link, and then I can pop up there too and start paragliding. And then once I'm paragliding, while I'm in the air, I can kind of go into my slow motion shooting the bow at them with my with Link's special attack. So you can start seeing how it all kind of fits together, and before you know it, you're kind of quickly working down an enemy's life gauge with all these great combo attacks you're putting together.
Yeah, and the flurry rush too. I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, some of the unique actions are really crazy, like the things that you can do. Mipha in particular has the ability to teleport to like a waterfall that she places, right? And you just get shot up into the air, and you can do a bunch of aerial combos, which is, you can get really creative with that. And I think it just makes her gameplay like really fast and frenetic, and then you have all these like aerial parts to it. So I think that's just like one example of kind of the differences between the characters. Impa, I think a lot of people have had a chance to play her in the demo, and she's actually, her mechanics are actually really deep in terms of having to absorb the different runes after you place them on each, or the different symbols after you place them on each enemy. So I'm really, really curious to see what people do with some of these unique abilities, because it really just makes the combat so much more varied and deep than even other Warriors titles. I think it makes it feel almost more like kind of like a dedicated, like kind of stylish action game a little bit, and just how many tools you have in your arsenal and how, across like all the different characters. It's really a lot more layered, I think.
I agree.
Yeah, and I really like how one aspect of Warriors games that we haven't talked too much about yet is obviously you're fighting, it's very action focused, and you're fighting these hordes of enemies. But at the same time, there's a good amount of strategy, because each kind of level, per se, is like this big map. It's a big chunk, of an area that you probably recognize from Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. But different skirmishes will break out on different parts of the map, and you're constantly kind of being directed from one spot to the other. And you can switch between characters, playable characters that might all be involved in the same battle. And so, the game does a pretty good job for someone like me who's pretty good at the action and not always so great at strategy. it does a pretty good job of guiding you to where you need to go next and putting targets on the map. And there's a lot of just natural story that takes place during the battles where characters are talking to each other, and as the battle ebbs and flows and new kind of stronger characters appear on the battlefield, there's a lot of story that gets communicated that way, and not just in the cutscenes. So that's fun and keeps things interesting throughout the battle. And I just liked that switching between Link, who's kind of trying to take over a certain part of the map from the bad guys in one area, then switching to Zelda and using her move set or whoever else might be on the field, really has a nice ebb and flow to it that I think adds something unique to these types of games.
I agree.
Yeah, one of the things, like, kind of towards, once you get into, like, the really crazy battles later in the game, you'll just have a ton of enemies, like, kind of bigger enemies on screen, and you'll have to really kind of send some of the different characters to different locations, so you'll just be spread all over the map. And it's really crazy. Like, you'll be fighting like one, Lionel or something, and then you'll switch to somebody else, and they're just in a completely different fight on the other side of the map. And I think that's one of the things that kind of this format is why it's perfect for this setting. It really does feel like a giant war. Every time you're on one of these stages, it's just like completely crazy. Like, you'll have a bunch of stuff happening in the background too that it's a little bit spoilery, so I won't say it, but it just gets really crazy with what's happening. So it definitely feels like just a really, really crazy war is happening, and it really just feels like the calamity is actually happening.
Mm-hmm. And one thing I want to mention is that that takes place at the same location you have explored in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So if you are, if you're a big fan of that game and you explored every single inch of that world map, Hyrule map, when you are like, let's say like I was in the Gerudo town, and then in a usual like a Warriors game, I don't really expect to go into the houses. I just play and then go to the next outpost to take down or something. But at one point, I went inside one of the bar. If you play the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, you might remember there was one mission you had to go into this, area, like kind of store, and then you have to talk to one of the characters, and then you have to find a way to create this drink for her. I don't know if you guys remember that, but like in this game, you can actually go inside that same store. I mean, like restaurant or bar, and you can just kind of explore. Of course, you don't have much time because it's more time critical. You have to get to next location within the time limit in most of the cases. So you can't take time, too much to look around. But if you do have time a little bit, I definitely encourage people to look around instead of just getting to the next area to see like, okay, wait, is this like, I'm in the Hyrule field. I run on the horse in the Breath of the Wild, but in this one, I see the stores. I see this, like the building and houses still standing there, and then the comparison might be a good way to play this game for the fans of the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, absolutely. And I noticed running around the battlefield, I saw a couple of flowers that looked out of place, and then before I knew it, I was finding Koroks, and I was like, oh, okay, we're doing this again, just like Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So yeah, even though you're usually in a hurry, there's always at least a little time to stop and look around if something looks a little suspicious, I think.
Yep.
I did want to mention, I haven't had a chance to try this out myself yet, but the game does have a 2-player co-op. So that's pretty cool. 2 people can take on the armies of the enemies there.
Yep.
And we touched on this before, but there's a demo that's been available for a little while now. And the good news is that your save data from that demo carries over to the final game if you do decide to buy the final game. So for people that may be fans of The Legend of Zelda, or especially Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, but haven't played a Warriors game before, I think this is a great way to kind of get your feet wet, see what it's all about, and then hopefully continue on from there.
Yeah.
And then if you buy the digital version of the game, you get this item called the Lucky Ladle. And then for those that have save data on your system from The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, you get the Training Sword bonus item. So between the demo and these bonus items, there's a lot of extra goodies there for people to enjoy and explore.
One of the things about the demo, I think it takes you to the part where the map opens up and you get to see it just start to get filled with a bunch of different side quests and different things. It's the same map from The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And I remember, Chico, you had mentioned like the first time that you saw that you really had a strong reaction,
Oh,
right?
Oh yeah, because I was expecting the similar kind of like icon showing chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, like the original Hyrule Warriors game, where you can see everything in a linear way. But this one, when I saw the menu screen and then the map of Hyrule showed up, and like boom, 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 and like like the same way that the locations opened up in the Breath of the Wild, the stages opening up, and I'm like, oh! So that was a very exciting moment for me too. Yeah.
Yeah, there are so many moments in this game. Even I haven't played it nearly as much as you guys, but so many moments already that really take you back to Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And I just got to think that anybody who played that game and enjoyed it, there's a lot here for them to check out and get excited about.
And this game has the option to change between the like available different languages. So I'm Japanese, as you can obviously tell. So I play the game itself in English text, but I switch it to Japanese voice over, so I can listen to the characters talk in Japanese, and then you can do it with French and Spanish as well. If you speak or other languages, I totally recommend you guys try out different functions too.
Yeah, one more note at that. I think, Chico, I share with you, but there's definitely been a couple of character descriptions that have just made me laugh out loud. So I think the team definitely got a little bit creative with some of those.
That's great. Well, I look forward to seeing all that for myself. And when I finally beat the game as well, I definitely want to check back with you guys and maybe have a little bit more of a spoiler discussion just among ourselves. I guess that's, I feel like I could talk about this game on and on and on, but we should probably move on to Player's Pulse. And as always, this is where we post a few polls on Twitter for Nintendo fans just for fun. And this time we themed them all around the Legend of Zelda series. And the first question we asked was, which ocarina tune would you rather relax to? And the choices were Zelda's Lullaby, Epona's Song, Sun's Song, or the Song of Time. Chico, do you have any personal favorites there, or can you guess what the fans chose the most?
I don't know about the fans, but my favorite is definitely Zelda's Lullaby.
Yeah, I think it's the
Good
same
choice.
for me.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are right in lockstep with the fans. Zelda's Lullaby was the top vote getter at 46%.
Oh, okay.
The Song of Time came in second, followed by Epona's Song and then Sun's Song. But it's amazing how catchy those ocarina tunes are. They'll just pop into my head at weird times.
Yeah.
So all of them, I think, are pretty memorable. The next question was, which style do you prefer in Legend of Zelda games? 2D, which is more of the top-down view that you got with the older games and with some of the games on handheld systems, or 3D, which is what you get more commonly today with games like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So, Joe, which is your favorite? The top-down 2D or the 3D? And I know it's tough. You can't pick both, though. I'm forcing you to only pick one.
This is unfair. This is a hard question. Oh, man. I think I'll have to go with 3D. Man, now you're making me count. I love A Link to the Past, and even last year, Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening.
Why can't I get
that
there?
game's-
I don't
that's a great game.
understand.
Yeah, but I mean, the 3D Zelda games just hold a special place in my heart. Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. That game is definitely special. I think everybody knows it. I mean, there's nothing more I need to say about it. But Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild obviously did a lot to just kind of change up open world games, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But I think 3D Zelda games have just gone in so many different directions, have evolved in so many different ways. I think for me, that's where I have to go with.
Now, Chico, based on the many, I'm guessing hundreds of hours you've played Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, I'd be surprised if you don't choose 3D.
Well, I mean, same with Joe. I mean, it's a really tough
What the
call,
fuck?
and
I don't
then
understand
you
how he
can't
just doesn't
choose. It's
roll
like
and jump.
42 different things.
Shit.
I know.
Yeah, but still, for me, my first Zelda game I ever played was The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. So, I mean, that's still, holds a special space in my heart. And I do like the 2D top-down version of the Zelda games, Link to the Past, Between the Worlds, and like I even like Triforce Heroes. I mean, like, I have a lot of good memories about those games. So yeah, I mean, I have to, especially because Joe chose 3D. I have to go with the 2D version.
Okay, great.
I like that. I like that. Both. I usually, the first games I played, I'm old enough to have played all the original NES versions of these games. So I usually go with kind of the more retro types of games. But, I think I've decided that Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is my favorite game in the series. So because of that, I'm going to go with 3D. And 3D is what the fans chose with 81%.
Wow.
So, yeah. Well, there have been a lot more 3D games in the series, I think, over the past, 10, 20 years. So, maybe there's fewer of us these days that can appreciate the earlier days of The Legend of Zelda.
I think the key takeaway that we have here is that, we're talking about a Hyrule Warriors game today, right? So obviously this franchise has just gone in so many directions. It's so you never know what the next entry is going to be. So I mean, I think it's just a testament to, the variety in the series. There's just so many different types of games in it.
Absolutely. All right, and the final poll question we asked is, which is more satisfying to defeat enemies with, the sword or the bow? Chico, what would be your choice there?
Why there's only 2 choices here? Why there's no fire? Or even like a spear or, I don't know. I guess sword to me, because you have the physical, I don't know, physical attack is better? I don't know. Joe?
That's one for sword, Joe.
Well, I think, after Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, I have to go with the bow. There's like few things more satisfying than hitting that like specific spot that just gets that ping sound. And then also you have like the ancient arrows too, right? Like those are really, really awesome. So
very helpful.
I'm sure I'm wrong.
Yeah, I would. I would go with bow too, just because I do like that. When you let the satisfaction of letting that arrow loose and not knowing if you're going to hit it, and then when you do hit it, especially if you get that ding from a perfect shot, it's so satisfying. But people who would pick bow, like myself, are in the minority. The fans chose sword at 70%. So yeah, it is the more common way to dispose of the bad guys. So I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I said fire, but yeah, whatever.
Yeah, if you don't have fire, then bow or sword will do. All right, well, now we're going to continue talking about Legends of Zelda Breath of the Wild in our Nintendo Power Game Club segment. This is where we always talk about a game that we all chose to play beforehand, kind of like a book club. And I want to start this discussion with a couple of comments that fans shared on Twitter about the game. This one came from Unseasoned Jeff, who said, easily my favorite part of the game is that if you see something cool in the distance, you can actually go there and check it out. Nothing is just for show or just in the background. Everything is a genuine part of the world. Every inch can be explored. And then similarly, Champion S said, no matter what kind of gamer you are, the game has something to offer you. Whether you're a strategist, a wanderer, a hero, or even a philanthropist, there is a place for you in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. The experience never gets old because you never have the same playthrough twice. And I thought something that both of these comments touched on is the open air nature of the game. The fact that there's so many different approaches you can take while playing. So, Chico, I want to ask, what was your first impression the first time you stepped out into that big open world?
At the very first moment, I wasn't quite sure what to do because just like there's so many options. It can go any direction, and then I'm so used to like, okay, this is the first mission. I have to go to this shrine, temple, to get this item. But now in this one, it's like what am I supposed to do? I mean, like I'm just out of this cave, and like which direction am I supposed to go? So it was a little bit of like a feeling of lost. But quickly, I realized that wow, there's so much freedom, and I felt so, free. I mean, I could do whatever I want to do. So So I was really excited. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It was like this wonderful feeling of being lost because it felt like I was on the playground, and it was just, if I wanted to go pick up that stick and swing it around at things, I could do that.
Which
if I
I
wanted to
did.
go for a quick swim, yeah, and it really just felt like just the, yeah. Normally you're kind of pointed in a more clear direction, and you are given some direction on where you can go at the beginning of this game, but along the way it just seems like there's so many opportunities to just play it however you want. So I think you pretty quickly adjust to that and appreciate that. Joe, what did you think about that? What did that aspect of the game mean? Because there's always big overworlds to explore in Legend of Zelda games, but this one, it really felt like there were new rules. For the first time in a long time for the series, you weren't quite sure what to expect or what the game expected of you.
Yeah, I think my reaction, and even coming to the game, I think at the time I had been pretty burnt out on open world games. I had played a lot of them, and was kind of wondering, if an open world could capture me like that again. And I think so I was a little skeptical but hopeful when I went in. And playing it for the first time, it definitely exceeded my expectations. Just that feeling of being lost, but then just the world being so interconnected. I think it's, a lot of people talk about how the world is so huge, and it's not populated with a ton of, like, there's not a city on every block, right? But it makes it feel special when you discover things. You discover things like that are just hidden in the distance, or it's in a spot that you didn't even notice. And I think that's something to me that is really special. I think it's kind of like a bold move by a developer, right? To put something there that somebody might not even see. I think a lot of the times in open world games, the intention is that whoever's playing it, you want to see all the content, right? And I think in this game, I thought it was just a really special experience to just discover things. Even when you're playing it hundreds of hours in, you're just finding new things. So for me, that was the key difference that made it a really special game for me, and it continues to be something that's just a part of my active rotation.
Yeah, I think that's totally right. And I sat down many years ago and I tried to think, if I were to try to distill Super Mario Brothers and the Legend of Zelda series, which are my two favorite series by far, if I were to try to distill them down into just one word each that to me describes what the core of that experience is about, for me, Super Mario was joy. The joy you get from kind of all of the actions that you perform and the exuberance of Mario. And for The Legend of Zelda, it was wonder. And, I think the first time you play a Legend of Zelda game, even for me, it was the very first one on the NES, when you don't quite yet know what all the rules are, and you're discovering so much about the game and what you can do and what the world is, there is that constant sense of surprise and wonder that is just so compelling. And, obviously, the more games you play in a series, and the more you start to be able to spot, even though a lot of the Legend of Zelda games have very different features, you start to be able to more and more quickly spot kind of okay, I know what I'm doing here. I've seen puzzles kind of like this before. I kind of know where I'm at. So for someone like me that had played the series for so long, it was such a breath of fresh air, no pun intended, to play Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and suddenly not know necessarily what's even possible anymore. And it took me back to those days as a kid when I would go to school and I would talk to my friends about what we'd experienced in the original NES game, and we would trade stories, and there was always one kid who would kind of make stuff up, but you didn't know if he was making it up, because as far as what he was saying was just as legitimate as anyone else. And so I really liked, especially in the office here at Nintendo of America, we would go in after having played Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild the night before, and we would be trading our stories. And because there were so many systems in the game that allowed you to kind of create your own story, things would happen to each of us that were unique. And maybe we would go home and try to replicate those things in our own games. And I just felt like that was something that took me back to the very beginning of the series, and I had that full sense of wonder all over again. All right, now I want to move on to another comment from Drift, who said, "I love the sense that the world was alive and had been thoroughly lived in before the calamity. It made it melancholy and intriguing to explore and bittersweet to see how people were carrying on and making do 100 years later. Outstanding world building." So, so we talked about just now the experience of going through this world, but this world also came alive because of the history and the storytelling. And sometimes it's very obvious storytelling, and it's sometimes things that are implied, when you visit certain areas and you see kind of what remains from that battle 100 years ago. So, what were some of the things, or maybe even favorite places that stood out to you about the world?
That's like what's that? I forgot the name of the ranch, but I stumbled across on the Hyrule field. This like a totally destroyed ranch, and I'm like, this looks kind of familiar with other game in the series, and I kind of explored there, and then it felt like, oh, it's totally destroyed. There's nobody. It's like everything is destroyed. And I'm sorry to going back to the Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, but I did have one of the side quests. I actually happened to go to the exact station and seeing that place actually still standing with all the houses and then the towers still standing there as and it kind of made me think of the Breath of the Wild. It's like, wow, in 100 years, in the Great Calamity, like all these things happen in between these two games, and like it did make me very nostalgic. And then it made me actually go back to play the Breath of the Wild so I can go see how it looked. It's been a while since I played the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, so it made me go back and then go to that area. So that's one place I kind of remember right now. But yeah, there's a lot of other places like Great Plateau and Hyrule Castle. But yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely kind of that like quiet world building. Definitely the world is. It's very peaceful despite what has happened, and you have Calamity Ganon just all over the castle and a ton of enemies everywhere. But I think that's something that I really appreciate about the game. Like you go into Hateno Village and you just get to see everybody just living their lives, and you get to meet characters like Pura, who has obviously had a lot happen to her, and you get to see her in Hyrule Warriors also. But then just like kind of the things that are implied but not specifically told to you. So things like, when you start building a house in Hateno Village, or you move into a house, right? And you start to get a little bit of backstory and start to think, well, is this a place where Link might have lived before? It's very like melancholy, right? Like he has been gone for 100 years. He doesn't remember anything. He has no idea where he is. All these people remember him and they love him, but a lot of them are also gone. Like all these people that he knew are gone. So it's kind of like just like life goes on. He's there, and you get to get all out of this backstory. And I just really appreciate that kind of just like simple world building that doesn't really like kind of get in your way and doesn't beat you over the head with it, but it's kind of implied.
Mm-hmm. And the last comment I want to share is from Becca, who said, "The first time I defeated a guardian with a shield was one of the most satisfying moments in gaming for me. I loved proving how much I had improved from the start when I was running from almost everything." So, I thought this was something that definitely came through to me when I played the game as well, as that feeling of growth. Mm-hmm. Chico, was there anything that surprised you about yourself as you got better at the game? Any maybe accomplishments where you really thought, wow, I can't believe I was able to do that?
Well, I mean, like I really was bad at it at the very beginning for every single stuff. So, I think I got better at everything. But, yeah, Seal to Reflect was something that I had to practice a little bit at the beginning, like whenever the Guardian starts the sound, I'm like, nope, this is the time I have to get away. But then like slowly I'm like, okay, I can do this. And then like I have enough, like health and then the heart, and like I'm just gonna try this one time. I'm not gonna die. And then like did it, and then I'm being able to, continuously do it every single time. So yeah, I maybe feel like, okay, I'm now ready for this adventure. So yeah, Seal to Reflect was definitely something makes me feel like I grown. I'm ready for this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even just getting through all the shrines and just building that stamina meter and your number of hearts. A lot of those things just make it a lot easier to traverse the world. It just like opens up different opportunities for you. And yeah, I think the game does such a good job of just kind of easing you into a lot of that, especially with the way like weapons are given to you. And I know there's a lot of different opinions on weapon durability, which is a key component of the game. For me personally, I really love that mechanic because it encourages you to experiment, and you really get that feeling that that whatever you're picking up actually matters. If it's a new weapon, that's something that you're actually going to use. You're not just going to stick to one weapon for the entire game and just coast your way through it. Everything that you grab has meaning to it. And this, I've tried to replay the game, pretty constantly whenever I have time, which is, fool's errand because we have so many games that we actually need to play. I've been playing on master mode and just getting absolutely destroyed. So that's been an interesting experience, but it does make me appreciate the mechanics a lot more because it is that early game on master mode is just so dire, like you can die in one hit. So it is really tough playing in that mode, but it also does just again like reiterate how strong those kind of core mechanics and that feeling of growth is.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, like you guys have said, there's a lot of different ways that you can kind of feel that your character and your own play and your own skill have grown. But I would agree with Becca. For me, it was I still didn't get the shield timing down so that I could consistently defeat a guardian that way, but I did like using ancient arrows on them, which takes them out in one shot. And that felt really good after there were so many situations throughout the game where I would end up getting myself stuck behind like around a corner where there was a guardian who was out there who for some reason couldn't quite get to me, but if I stuck my head out, he was going to take me out, and I would just try to wait him out. I probably should have just let him get me and then start over, but I was like for 15 minutes just like this cat and mouse game of trying to get around this guardian. So when you could finally like take them out with authority, that felt so good.
Yeah.
I think I've definitely done the thing that I'm sure a lot of players have done this, but I just save up those ancient arrows for like a rainy day that never happens.
There we go. And we back. So where do you think I have to shoot this thing? Over there, but kill that guy. Sir, I wanna buy these shoes. Please. Christmas Eve shoes. Are just her style. Hurry, sir. That's a real depressing song. Sir, I wanna buy these shoes. Ooh. For my mama, please. It's Christmas Eve and these shoes are really neat. Do-do-do-do. Uh-oh. It's like a little church. smell your shoes. What if that was about shoe stink? Would you guys like that song better? This is playing on both my computer and my headphones. Let me fix that because that is less than ideal. La da da da. Just cut his head off. Do 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 do, would you hurry, sir? But the scissors not much time. Dilly dallying around. Bedroom key. How are we to... Here, we finally found the key. Sure took a while, but that mirror shard is as good as ours. La da da da. Would you hurry, sir? Just as there's not much time. It's Christmas Eve and these shoes are just her style. La da da da. Shorty, I can take you there. We can go to the tropics and sit in a Shorty, I can take you there. Oh, broken heart. What are you doing down there, little lady? I feel like this isn't going to be a traditional boss. Unless it is. She's going to turn into a demon, do you think? Here, mirror, you look at it. Oh, so pretty. Something weird's gonna happen here, watch. Pretty. Ah, so pretty. She's gonna turn into a demon, look. Pretty, very lovely. She's like one of those Russian dolls. Oh shit. Give me my sippy. La da da da. I'm glad I have 3. I don't know why you're giving me. hit me. Uh-oh. This is like The Exorcist, because her head spun around and she got evil. Shit. Run away, dude. Like, this girl's not killing me. Please, Link, fucking run. You look like standing around with your dick in your hand all the time. What the fuck? It would be really cool if I could like see that. You know, I can't see it. And then she regenerates, so this is how Link works. Please, what the fuck, Link? What the fuck? properly. Doo-doo-doo. Well, we have 2 mirror shards now. 2 more left. You may enter. Where is that? I just beat this secret place. It's the Yeti's house. Do you remember him? Alright. It smells like yuck. Okay, hold on. Alright, goodbye. Have a fun night. I don't know if I'm hanging out with Dave or what the hell's happening tonight, but allegedly. I don't know. He doesn't even know where he's staying, so I don't know what their plan is or what's going on. But I'll be here.
What a gun. Okay.
Spell home.
Bye.
Oh, she's back. Who needs a mirror? They need to fix their house up. It was a mess. Love. That was a good dungeon, even though I got mad 100% of the time with it, but it was funny. I loved that. That was great. Alright guys, I'm gonna wrap this up. Let me pause this, and I will see you guys on Monday. Oh my gosh. Alright, good game. See you guys later. Have a good one.